Now we're good. Now we're here. Hey, all. This is Sean from Actual Play, and we are back playing Burning Wheel for the first time in months. So, welcome, everybody. How you doing, Judd?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm lying, but I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
okay.
As
I'm
soon as I
complicated.
said that, I was
I'm
like, why did
complicated.
I ask that question? But
I'm complicated, but I'm good. Most of like as we were talking about like the relativeness of being good and uh everyone's healthy, everyone's doing all right. I can't complain.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good to see you again, and I'm
Thank you.
excited to play some Burning Wheel.
Me too.
So for folks who don't know us, I'm Sean. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me at Sean Nittner pretty much everywhere. How about you, Judd?
I'm Judd, he, him, and Judd of Cryos with an underscore between the Judd JUDD underscore OF underscore Cryos KRYOS, um, which I didn't realize would be my Twitter handle forever when I made it, but there it is. Here we are. It could have been worse. It could have been way worse. Uh, it's just
It's a
weird
real
when
deep
like
cut because I don't know how many people remember Sons of Kraus, but
yeah no it's a really I mean now I have like librarian colleagues and jujitsu coaches who are like, what's cryos? And I'm like, I have to explain this now. Now
yeah,
I have to explain this. And fair enough. There are way worse professions. Like it's easy in librarianship to turn to your colleague and say, I like to pretend I'm elves with friends. Like they're like,
right.
oh, okay, I'm with you. Yes.
Yeah.
And
And I
it's
used to
not like,
podcast about it, and
right. And we used to podcast about it. And they're like, oh, that's fantastic. It's like, so it's not like I'm in some kind of profession where that's where people are actually going to judge me about it. So
yeah,
the responses have always been good. Um, like the time I was with a bunch of colleagues and we were working on a project and they were like, to use this project, we're going to use a social media called Google Plus. Does anyone know how to use this? And I raised my hand, and they were like the guy who was managing the project was like, really? And I was like, only a couple people use Google Plus. One of them are a bunch of middle-aged people who pretend they're elves. That's me and my friends. We love Google Plus. And it was just a funny thing to say in a room full of librarians. So
yeah.
anyway, uh, long story short, there
Well,
we
it's
are.
yeah, right. It's the weird things you pick up as a gamer. Uh,
Yes.
Google Plus being one of them. Awesome. So
How are you, Sean?
I'm
Big Bad Con is like it's coming.
it's like around the corner. Yeah, I'm at this point right now where I need desperately for everyone to finalize their stuff and like
Right.
pick their, like know for sure where games are going to happen and all these things because I need to get all this stuff from our graphic designer so she can make the programs and all the stuff so that we can get them to the printer so that they can be printed on time. So it's
Right.
this it's this hurry up and wait kind of thing where it's like a lot of I'm waiting for people, and then as soon as I get the stuff, I'm gonna try and immediately format it and get it ready for the graphic designer, and then I'm gonna wait for her, and then as soon as I get it from her, I'm gonna immediately try to get to the printer, and then they're gonna take some time to print it. So yeah, it's a stressful time of the year, but
Yeah.
honestly, it's less than it has been in the past. So I'm happy about
Okay.
it. No,
Okay.
no. I think somebody just tweeted about shoes. Hate to have 1D left in resources and blow 1D left in the resources and blow the roll. Goodbye, shoes. Yep, yep, Eric. That was the contingency for this game. If you're watching, it was not spending that 1 RP on shoes. So hey, I had it for negative, harmful, destructive relationships with people that are now dead or gone. As you do.
Whoops.
Yeah. Speaking of people and bad relationships and things like that, let's play some Burning Wheel.
Yeah, let's do that.
Pull that up, buddy. And let me pull up Venus character sheet. Do you want to give a recap of the games since you watched it
Yeah.
recently?
So in the last game, Bina had a big decision to make. She was bringing her lord was her knightly lord, who runs this tower in the middle of this tiny town that is built around this tower, kind of fortified tower. Uh, what is his name?
Bodnar, I think was his name.
Vodnar.
Yeah.
Um, was sick and dying and shitting himself to death, and she had, like, an empty, like a cup with some tea in it in one hand, and a cup with an actual herbal remedy that would help heal him in the other. And she had to decide whether or not she was going to help him. And in listening to his squires talk about whether or not they were going to leave, she decided to let him die. In hoping that at least one of the squires might stay in the town and help defend it. And she let him die and then went back up to kind of clean up the body. And there was an elf who her daughter called the bad elf, there, watching him, who basically said, like, I just watched him die. And she said, did you do it? And he was like, how dare you? And she started to kind of tell the story to him about the Soldier's Lament, which is this old song that's kind of run through the game, about the original lord of this tower, who tried to stop the conflict between the dwarves and the elves, which apparently has happened before in centuries past, and died. So he said, you shouldn't tell me about a song. You should sing the song. But she doesn't have the singing skill. So she tried to sing and failed. And in offending him, he plucked out her eye, in kind of a visceral, brutal fashion. And then by the time she came to, picked herself up off the floor, and got down for old Novak, the old lady who's kind of been her one of her main allies in this whole thing, ridiculous situation, could put a poultice on it. The elf was gone, and she decided that she needed to leave the town in order to, stop the dwarves and stop this war from decimating the town. And the other thing she picked up from the elf is that, the elf's sister was in charge of the elven host, and when a storm hit, that's when she had arrived, and it was starting to drizzle. It was starting to rain. So Bina knew, like, it's coming.
Yeah.
And she had lost an earlier duel of wits with her husband, which meant that she couldn't leave with her child. So
yeah, that was the roughest one right there.
It was like this weird little fly in the ointment, right? Like, we didn't think that was going to be a thing, but it turned out to be a thing.
Yeah, I remember the losing it and the condition being, sure, you can leave, but you're leaving Nara with me.
Right.
Which seems preposterous, because if I come home, there may be no home left.
Right.
Like, to leave my daughter here seems like the worst possible thing I could do. But my husband's point was, out on the road, it's even more dangerous, which may or may not, which may or may not be true.
Right.
But that's what he believes. And so it's one of those interesting things where I think you see two people and they're so utterly convinced of their point that they can't accept the rationale of the other person. Like, even if they can see it, even if I'm like, okay, Deke, I understand you're afraid of bandits, you don't get it. There's an army of elves coming. And he's like, what are elves? I don't believe in them. I've never seen them.
Right.
So yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we ended with you crying and saying goodbye to your daughter. Sean wasn't actually crying, but it was a sad moment. And with Bina crying and their daughter crying, and uh, really kind of, I think we'll start the game with you and Voss heading out of town.
Right, because
And
Voss had said that he would go and help me find the dwarves. Um, and Bina's rationale for finding the dwarves is nothing other than the elves are utterly irrational and they will pluck out your eye if you offend them. Maybe the dwarves are more reasonable, right? Like
right,
she has nothing to go off of. There's no like there's nothing there except for just, well, surely the dwarves must be more reasonable.
right,
And but I think he said, sure, I'll go look for the dwarves, but I'm going with you. Like that. He wasn't going to go on his own. I think I'd maybe fancied
yeah,
that he would be the soldier, but I think Bina is the soldier.
yeah. And I think that's something that Bina has been figuring out, because as when we were right when you were writing your beliefs and we were kind of going over them together in like emails over the last couple of days, um, you kind of were thinking about, well, maybe something about finding the right hero. And I was
Yeah,
like, and having just listened to the last episode, um, I said, I don't think Bina, I think Bina knows there's no one left.
yeah,
Like no one else is coming. The squires have shown themselves to be very human, and one is a snake, and one is pretty naive and young.
right. Yeah, and
Um,
she's banking on the naive one sticking around and
right,
probably dying. I
right.
think they started fortifying the village, but the
Yep,
fortifications were they would hardly stop brigands, let alone an army.
right,
But
right.
you know, it's
Yeah,
she's
it's a
doing fine.
problem.
So yeah, I think and Voss is a hunter, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I think I sort of envisioned him, um, uh, having a cart where he brought pelts in. Um, the image of uh, from Lady Hawk, where the wolf pelts are all being brought in by the
yeah,
cart. Well, that's what sort of was the filled
yeah,
my head. So I think we were packing up his cart and heading out. Does that sound right?
yeah.
Cool.
That sounds good.
Um, so yeah, I imagine Bina has taken from her home, like a set of clothes. I mean, well, actually, we know what her possessions are. Their personal effects, clothes, traveling gear, and a tiny bit of cash that I think she probably stole from Bodnar that she, in bits and that she scraped together.
Okay.
Um, I can't imagine there's any way in which she would have actual cash of her own, except for um, a few coins that she picked up around the keep. So
Or could it be something? I mean, I know that she isn't from this town; that she was taken from somewhere else during like a feud. So is
yeah,
it
yeah.
is it possible that that's something that she's managed to hold on to from the other town?
Sure. Yeah, uh, I think that sounds a little more in keeping with her, honestly, than stealing it. Trying to think of what. I guess we can figure out what that thing that's worth, whether it's
Yeah.
actual coins themselves, but yeah, she has some traveling gear, and so I imagine she's kind of got like a rucksack that she throws in the cart. And then, do I have any navigational sense of where either of the army? I do. We have a sense of like the dwarves are way off to the north, and the elves are way off to the south, and the humans are way off to the east. Is that? Am I right?
The
I could be getting this
the
wrong, but I think Bina knows in a very vague sense where the.
yeah, the elves are kind of coming from the east, and the dwarves are coming from the north.
Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. So yeah, so she says, I think is, I imagine the scene kind of opens as the drizzle is coming down around them, and she's her feet are now muddy from walking in the as the water as the rain started to come down, and now she's mud's getting all over her feet. She puts the rucksack in and seals it so that her contents won't be destroyed by the rain, and says, "Do you know any villages to the north?"
Yeah, he says, yeah, we'll be all right. I know my way.
I don't at all. So
I know.
I'll try to not get in the way. You tell me what I need to do to stay safe out there. Deke always speaks of brigands at every turn, but I don't know if he was just paranoid.
He's not far off, especially with word of war coming. He's not far off at all.
Well,
It's just
if something comes, I'm going to step behind. If something happens, I'll stay behind you.
Which might be a good time to read off our beliefs.
Oh yeah, hey, that's a good idea. So these are beliefs that I think are, all my beliefs and instincts pretty much changed since the last one, because they were all centered around Karakagi, the little village that we were. Actually, Karakagi is where, that's it. Karakagi is the little village that we were in. So everything was centered around life there. It was all domestic, and now these are the first kind of going on an adventure beliefs. But Bina doesn't have, she's not an adventurer. So
Yeah.
So they're currently, Voss is coming with me, but doesn't believe we can succeed. I'll convince him we can. The elves' wrath is unparalleled. I will learn to sing so that I do not earn it again. And the last belief is the soldier's lament is more than a sad song. I will make it to the outpost of dwarves and beseech them.
Cool.
And then my instincts are: when a stranger arrives, stand behind Voss. When entering a village, always tell them of the impending doom. And each night inventory our provisions. So yeah, we'll see how those go.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Voss gets on. He's got basically like a mule pulling the cart,
right?
And he gets on a shaggy pony, and he says, "Fetch your shoes and we'll go."
No need to. My feet have been. I don't know how. There's no hobbits to reference here, but
Right.
No need to. I'm used to walking barefoot. And
I think that's the first time Voss realizes that you don't own shoes.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of dawns on him. Like, he doesn't realize. I think he just didn't understand your reality, and it hits him right now.
Yeah, and I didn't say directly like I don't own them, but yes, it's obvious. The implication is obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. She sort of looks down at her, dirt-caked, now muddy feet, and wiggles her toes a little bit in the mud, and carries on. Because I assume that I don't know, is the mule that pulls the cart able to pull it if I'm in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll climb up into the cart.
Cool.
It's not elegant, but nothing here is. So
cool. And I think the mule is trained to. Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I just got my computer just propped up something that said my internet was unstable, which is
Oh yeah, Zoom likes to do that. I don't. Usually, it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes
okay.
it's dropped, but yeah.
Cool. Uh, yeah, I think the mule is trained to follow the pony, so he clucks at the pony a bit, and you head out of town. Um, and it's slow and a little boring. You definitely probably reach the farthest point that she's been since she's been brought here pretty quickly. Uh, and you're heading north on the main road, which is called the Jeweled Road.
The Jeweled Road.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's not subtle, right? Karkagi is the hub, and there are 5 roads going off of it. There's the Jeweled Road to the north, the Forbidden Road to the east, the Weird Road, WYRD Road to the south, and the Duke's Road. No, I'm sorry. The elves come from the west. The elves are coming from the western. The Duke's Road is to the east.
Right.
The Forbidden Road is to the west. So the elves are coming from the west. I apologize for folks following at home. That's confusing. So Jewel Road to the north, Forbidden Road to the west, Duke's Road to the east, Weird Road to the south, and then more like a goat trail is the Lost Road, which kind of heads northwest. And
I typed them all wrong. So, and the Lost Road.
yep, I can type it, or I can post my super hideous map later if you'd like. It's real ugly.
It's real. No, I love maps, dude. I love.
Oh my god, it's so hideous. We'll see. Once you see more of the world, but right now it's like it's not even like pretty ugly. It's just ugly.
It's just ugly. It's okay.
It's just ugly. Well, I'll show it to you later.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think as we're traveling along the Jeweled Road, I think Bina's, probably pretty quick to notice. I imagine there's nothing bejeweled about it.
Right.
If there was, somebody would have stolen it. And so she asks, how far do you normally travel? How far do you normally go from Karakagi?
When about 3 days north of here, you start to see the dwarven holdfasts, and I stop before I can see the peaks clearly.
Oh, 3 days? That doesn't sound like too long. She says that she's just like bored out of her mind sitting in this car.
Right.
What do you think the dwarves will say when we have you encountered a dwarf before on the road?
Yes.
And how did you find them?
Like something twitches in his jaw, and he says, "Stern."
I'm used to stern. Lord Bodnar was stern.
No, he was not stern. Not like this. And he clucks at his pony and starts. He goes off the Jewel Road onto like a goat path.
Are we stopping?
There's a town not far from here.
Okay, we can tell them of the dangers.
I wish I knew what language I was pulling these words from, because I was definitely pulling these words from a language.
Oh, I think Dutch was the.
Was it Dutch?
Yeah. Dutch was the language of I think that we pulled Bodnar and Bina from.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, if we rewatch the first episode, I'm pretty sure that's it's in there. So if I'm wrong, that'll be the correction, or it'll be in there.
Cool.
Yeah, so I don't think Bina's trying to anger Voss, but she will keep asking about the dwarves in an attempt to see, you said he kind of twitched a little bit when Bina mentioned them. So, so it's not going to be like that moment, but sometime later on this very boring road, she's like, have you made any friends among them?
No.
Traded with them?
And yeah, you can just feel his impatience.
Yeah, right. Like, doesn't want to be talking about this.
Doesn't want to be talking. Doesn't want to be talking at all. They don't have much. They don't have much use for furs, for my furs. I've done some light trading with them, but they don't like dwarven goods being put into our hands very often.
Protective of theirs.
Hey.
That's good. That's good. There's something they care about. It's good to care about things. It makes you afraid of losing them. Maybe they won't be willing to throw them all away for no reason. Having a hearth and a home, having a family, all those things remind you what's important.
Yeah. And I think the sun is setting, and you kind of, the goat path goes around a hill, and as you hit the valley, you see a town. You see Huevel-Toren.
Will you type that?
I will type that in.
Yeah, type that in the Roll20 chat. So I have it. And now you say town. So
yeah, it's
is it like a real town? Because Bina's never really lived in a.
It's a little bit bigger than your village. You can see it's kind of the same basic idea, right? It's a fortified tower, in the on a hilltop, and it is, and the town kind of sprung around it, but where Karkage's walls are not well tended to, these walls are pretty well tended to. It might even be, it's not too much different in size than Karkage, but the walls are higher. It seems much more fortified. And well taken care of. And I think, as you can see it, you can hear horses approaching. And Voss says, it's knights. We should get off the cart and present ourselves.
Pina doesn't quite know why, but she doesn't she looks confused, but follows what the boss says.
Yeah.
So she hops out, stretches.
Yeah, and you see he takes his bow and unstrings it.
Yeah. I don't think Bina has anything more than like a knife you would use for eating,
Right.
but even that she kind of looks furtively at and pulls her like tunic over it so that it's not visible, but also she couldn't draw it if she wanted to, just so it's sort of not presenting any threat. And she stands behind Voss. I imagine that he's taller than she is, so she's somewhat obscured by him, if not complete.
Cool. Sorry, I'm writing down a couple names. I will, 1 second.
No problem. No problem. Howdy, folks. We're hanging out with us. This is picking up after a long time of this game. So thanks for joining us.
Cool. Yeah, a knight and her 2 squires come around the corner. They're on war horses, which you've seen before. But these, yeah, I mean they're armored. I mean you've seen Bodnar get armored up, but it was on special occasions, and these folks are out on the road, bows in hand, weapons out.
Right.
But it's still not threatening. Like when they see Voss, there's recognition there.
Cool. And I'm just taking from the way you said that when I'd see Bodnar in armor, it was on special occasions. I imagine their armor looks worn and dirty and like they've been wearing it on the road, and this is normal fare for them.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. So I think waits to see how the interaction goes between them.
Cool. He turns to like say, like, tell you her name, and then but like she comes up on him too soon, and gets and her and her squires get off their horse, and he kind of like he's turning to you, but then like it's an awkward moment. He's just not used to traveling with anyone.
Yeah.
And the knight takes off her helmet and says, "Voss, why are you on the road? Why are you on the road tonight?" And he says, "We're leaving. We're leaving the hub. There were rains there and in Karkage, and things were getting dangerous." And she says, "You know a bit about horses, don't you?" And he says, "Yeah, a bit. Wait a minute. Who's your friend?"
Bina kind of steps to the side so that she's still behind Voss, but more visible, and says, "I'm Bina, from Karakagi."
It's good to meet you, Bina.
It's good to meet you as well. I didn't catch your name.
I'm Lady Svenja. These are my squires, Sasha and Goetz.
It's good to meet you all. Thank you for keeping our road safe. And Bina
and the squires immediately like go to Voss, and they're like, "Voss, you're good with horses, aren't you?" And he says, I'm passing fair." And they bring him over to like look at a shoe that apparently is coming loose.
Mm-hmm.
And Lady Svenja says, "Why are you on the road with Voss?"
So it is hilarious because I think in the same moment that Voss was trying to tell me her name.
Right.
I was also trying to see like, cool if I tell her what's going on, because
right.
my plan was definitely to tell people when we got to a settlement so that they could like protect themselves. And if she's a knight and she's from this town, that's close enough for Bina. Um, so she wanted to like kind of get Voss's approval first, but oh well, he's doing something. So
Yeah.
she sort of looks to him and then looks back to her when she can't, get his attention.
Yeah, I mean, and they split you up like they do this all the time. I mean, it's just
Oh, like this is part of their
yeah,
shakedown.
they're just you've never seen Voss handled this way. Like they just get off their horses, introduce them. Like it all happens way too fast for Voss. He's just not used to he's used to traveling alone. He's just not used to this.
Right.
Um,
So this is something of a shakedown. Then Bina is not used to it either. So
yeah,
but maybe more perceptive about it. Yeah, so Bina has one eye bandaged. She's shoeless. She has fine
yeah,
clothes, but they're nothing nice.
yeah.
She's clearly a peasant, right? She's not in good shape, and she's not in good traveling shape.
And the
Uh,
bandage is fresh.
yes, it's like from today. Um,
So Svenja undoes the safety buckle on her sword and says, "Are you all right?"
oh, I don't touch her, but I reach as though I was gonna like put my hand on hers, like to stay her hand.
Yeah.
But I just kind of gesture in that direction. I don't actually reach. I don't actually touch her. But I say, "Oh no, this is not Voss's doing. Um, he's if anything the one who's helped me. But no, I am not all right." Um, and I want to see if she is receptive to me, like being like, "Hey, I want to tell you something in secret." So I try and step in closer to see if she's like, I want to have this sort of conspiratorial, like I need to whisper something to you, and see
She
if she's
gets
receptive to
yeah,
that.
yeah, she gets in close and she puts her hand on the hand that would most easily get your knife. And it's like it's part affection and it's part self-defense. Like
Yeah,
yeah, she steps right in, but like one of her feet goes right between your legs. You know what I mean? Like she
yeah,
steps right into your shit. Like you step to her and she just steps right into you. And it's like she puts her hand on yours and it's a little bit too strong for just, hey, we're holding hands because it's affection.
right,
Um, it's like we're close. I trust you. You're safe, but I'm not going to let you draw that knife. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing.
right,
But it's
right,
also like this is my sword hand, and I'm not going to be able to draw my sword. It's
right.
there's something going on that's more complicated than I think she's ever dealt with. Maybe
I think so, but I also think that she's been in the presence of a knight before,
right,
even if he was not this kind of, even if he wasn't this kind of, this kind of person, and
right.
and so this might be the wrong impulse, but her impulse is to bolster this woman, and to get to flatter her. So
Right.
so she says these woods are, I heard nothing but stories of the dangers of these woods, the bandits that plague them. Um, you look more formidable than I had imagined. A knight, possibly could be. I've served one for many years. I did not know knights came with such knights came in such with with such formidable character as you. I feel much safer just in your presence.
Cool. And just to be clear, I think you're more like you're a couple days, you're maybe like a day and a half, maybe even 2 days away from Karakage. I know it didn't
Oh,
seem that way, but
no,
like
that's
you were sleeping on the cart. I just didn't want to seem like you're a couple of hours away from this place because otherwise you would know these people.
right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Um. Uh. So yeah. So she starts with the kind of flattery that she genuinely thinks that all people of wealth expect.
Right.
It's not really being duplicitous so much as it is she's trying to be properly deferential.
Okay.
And then she says, but I have to tell you of a threat that is far more menacing than any bandits could be, that is a danger to you and to your squires and to all that you know and love. And she's kind of wanting to gauge like whether or not she has her attention still, if she's intent and listening, or whether she's like, whatever, peasant, you're saying some BS. Does it seem like she cares? Like when I say I have grave news, is she interested?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she is.
Cool. Then I proceed. And she says the rains that Voss mentioned are not the rains that we are accustomed to. They're the rains that hail the coming of war, and a war between forces that I can't comprehend. But soon, my home and your home as well will be ravaged by it. And if we don't do something, the armies of Dwarf, and I think she's like, this is the first time she said this out loud to another human being, and it's a complete stranger. So she's a little flabbergasted that she's even saying this, but she doesn't know how else to convey the danger. So she just says, soon the army of dwarves and elves will clash across our homeland, and when the armies of man arrive, only bloodshed will spread, and we will be the ones who suffer for it. You should return to your home and let them know, and tell them to fortify your walls, to lock your gates, and to prepare to bring in your peasants, and to look to your stockpiles, and to hold off against the onslaught, and to pray that the storm does not sweep you away with it.
My mother needs to hear what you've just said.
If you would take me to her, I would gladly tell her that and more. I know whispers and stories, but I've heard one of them, and this is where like she looks at her with her one eye, and she like casts her head down, and she says, I've heard one of these stories from an elf himself, from an elf, with my own ears. And that's when she like reaches up and like adjusts the bandage on her head.
She says, fetch your things and bring them to my horse. I'll take you in. My squires will see Vasen.
Are you sure I can travel? Suddenly she gets nervous because Voss is her safety net.
Right.
I can travel with Voss. He's kept me safe this way.
The cart is too slow. We'll lose time. This is important. Time is of the essence.
You're right, of course. I want to read her and see if she has means. She has thrown me off enough and has been unsettling enough that I'm afraid that she may. I don't really care if she has ill intent for me, but I want to make sure that Voss isn't going to be. If I leave Voss alone, it's not going to be bad news for him. But this isn't a setup for him. Right. I mean, if it's bad for me, I'm not happy about that either. But I want to get a sense of whether or not it seems like this woman's foreign to me, and I want to see if I feel like she's being forthright.
Okay. What kind of role? What do you want to use to do that?
I think you.
Actually, I don't think I need to make a roll. She's being forthright.
Okay.
Why am I making a roll about something that there is no role needed? Cool. She's being forthright, but I think you are correct that there is some threat to Voss that you haven't quite puzzled out that's in the air. Um, and if you want to roll to know more about that, then that's fine.
Yeah, I do. I do.
If you
I
kind of want to like piece that together before you even like have time to ask her or anything, then that could be a roll.
I think so. I think
Okay.
I want to try and figure out why, because at first I thought I was in trouble, and now I don't feel
Yeah.
like I'm in trouble at all. And
Right.
so yeah, I want to try and figure out what's happening with the Squires and Voss and why they've pulled him
Yeah.
aside, and does he owe them a debt, or
Yeah.
what's going on between them? Um, uh, it's been a long time since I have looked at the skill list, but I don't know what skill that would be or whether that would be perception. Um,
Do you have any wises that would work?
I have a lot of wises. I have peasant wise. I have work wise.
Mm-hmm.
I think work wise would be applicable here because it would tell me whether or not they're genuinely. This is genuinely, and I also have lazy wise, which may also be applicable because it would tell me whether or not they're genuinely looking for him to help them, or whether this was just like, hey, come on over here by the horses so that we can, like, are they actually doing work right now?
Yeah. I'm gonna make an I'm gonna say an ob one work rise roll because I feel like sizing up knights is something that you probably had to do a lot in your work.
Mm-hmm.
So ob one work rise work wise, if I can say that.
Cool. And is Voss? I also have peasant wise, and I'm wondering if I can fork that in, and that's for me contingent on whether or not Voss is
Yes.
sort of peasant class.
Yes.
Like, is this peasant
Totally.
work? Okay,
Totally. Yes.
cool,
This is like yes.
excellent. All right, so I'm going to roll my work wise with uh forking in peasant wise. I don't think gossip, sell, wife, or lazy applies. Nor does soothing platitudes or stealthy. So, and no Artha and Obwan. Oh, what did I get? I got 331. Okay, yay. Well, fail.
Failed? Okay.
Yep.
I should have set the
Yeah, oh,
failure
yeah. You should tell me the consequence.
the consequence. Um,
Pretty happy to roll with whatever you got.
I think she's just not believing this elf shit at all. Like, basically, she took you aside. Like, I just want you to like think about this from Lady, like everyone to think about this from Lady Svenya's point of view. Like, there's this guy Voss who like sells furs and travels the roads alone. He shows up with a woman who you've never heard about before. She's got a fresh wound and no shoes. You separate them. She says, "Who did this?" And the woman says, "Elves did it." And you're like, "Right." So she thinks Voss did it.
Yeah.
And you see her kind of give a signal, and the squires put Voss on the ground. It's workmanlike the way they do it.
Right.
It's not even really cruel. Like one grabs his legs, the other kind of grabs like an arm and a neck, and they just put him on the ground. That's a little rough. And they take his knife out and throw it into the cart. His pony runs off, and they
I,
say,
I
"We'll fetch that later."
I mean, obviously, like, I don't think I'm going to stop any of that, but
Right.
immediately Bina will plead to the knight. Um, no, please, Voss is the one who
No,
saved
no,
me.
no, no. You need to let this happen.
But
Just let it be. Why don't you get on my horse with me, and we'll see Voss later.
please tell
But
me no harm will come to him.
no harm will come to him. As long as he doesn't resist it, he's being smart. And like you hear Voss saying something to the squires, but you're like a bit away.
Yeah. I call out to him and I say, "I'll see you soon." Just do what they say, and everything will be fine. And I go with her.
Okay.
I don't feel Vina doesn't feel like she has a choice, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
um,
Um, she puts you on her horse, and you ride into town. Um, she gives a signal at the gates and says the squires will be coming with a cart and a pony, probably in 10 minutes. The guards give a nod, and but as soon as she's through, like they open the gates for her and then they close the gates for her.
right,
And they say we've had problems with bandits, and the layout is almost exactly like your town. The only difference is they don't have an old tower,
mm,
right? Like your town
right,
is kind of built around two hills, and the old tower is abandoned. They don't have that.
right. They just have
Um,
the one tower, which is
they just have the
still
one tower, right? And it never fell, and was cursed and never built upon again.
right,
So yeah, she takes you to the tower, and the layout is incredibly familiar. And you can see where things have been added on over the years in ways that haven't been at Karkage.
right.
And she helps you down off the horse and says, "Shit, now I need another name."
Name
Damn name.
generator. I feel like Bina's almost has like deja vu when she sees like certain structures that are the same. She kind of as soon as she gets down, she sort of orients herself and um, sees maybe an old woman walking through and it thinks it's
Yeah.
late old Novak, right? Just
Right.
because
Right. Yeah.
it's the
Well,
same
I
things
mean,
are happening. The same staff needs to take care of it and all
yep.
that.
Yep. And that's exactly who that's the name I'm looking for is old Asta, who is nothing like old Novak. So old Novak is this old lady who's kind of like sinking into herself, whereas old Asta is a huge woman. Um, she's a huge barrel of a woman, and you know fills the whole doorway, and Lady Svenja says this, and she kind of like takes her aside and says a few things to her, and then comes back to you and says, "Asta will help you settle in. I'm going to go talk to my mother and prepare her for your to meet you."
And that's so weird to Bina because she's used to being the one that helps prepare someone to do something. Like
Right.
she would never think like Bodner would ever prepare himself to meet her. Like she's walked in on him when he was
Right.
naked, shitting on the pot. Like
Right.
he never thought twice about having her around. So the idea that a noble would prepare herself to meet her seems really weird. And she's just like, but but, but I'm just a peasant. I don't need any introductions.
I know. And Asta comes over and says, "How do you do, dear? So you're from Karkage, the hub. So interesting. Have
Oh,
any have any wizards ever come up the weird road?" And she like guides you through the tower.
no, none in my lifetime.
All right. Well,
No.
we're going to put you in this room for tonight, and it's like it's a guest room. It's where you would put uh, a peasant of your standing.
Right.
If a knight came, this is where you'd put their servants and their butlers or their foot servants or whatever. And she says, "There's no one else here right now. None of the Iron Dukes are visiting, so none of their staff are here. It'll just be you. Matter of fact, one of the other maids will probably stay in here with you, just so you don't get lost at night."
Thank you. This is I appreciate the appointments.
So you came uh, into Huevo Toran with Vas, yes?
Well, we were, and then the lady met us on the road, and she wanted me to speak to her mother. Uh, she kind of leaves out the bit about Voss being
Right.
detained, and says, and so I rode in with her. He should be here soon. In
Oh,
fact,
but are you betrothed to him then?
um, that this is Sean pausing.
Yeah.
Maybe Bina pausing too.
Yeah.
Um, uh, she doesn't want to start off lying to people if she doesn't have to.
Right.
Um, I have wife wise.
Mm-hmm.
Does what's her name?
Old Asta. I'll
Asta.
write that down on the.
Does old Asta look like she's had children?
Yep.
My husband Deke is still in Karakagi, taking after our daughter. It was not safe to bring her on the road. Voss is keeping me safe as I travel north with important news. And it's like it went from like like friendly and like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you so much, to like very grave.
Yeah.
Um, and
What's the news, dear?
Like Sean sort of defers to thinking like, oh no, I've got to tell the important people, like the lords
Right.
and whatnot. But I don't think that's actually what Bina would think, because Bina is a peasant, and like for her, telling the people is
Right.
actually like keeping it secret back in Karakagi was not the solution. It didn't do any good. No heroes came. Um, yeah. So I think they're like, she isn't going to hold back on this, and so she says, Karakage lost. Karakagi is just like this place. In fact, so I know this room myself. I've led guests to stay in these very same appointments. I know.
How
Um,
nice. How nice it must be to have it be familiar. That
it
warms my
is.
heart.
But Karakage's tower is the second one built, because the first one was destroyed in the wars between the dwarves and the elves
Hmm.
that rampaged across it. I'm afraid that if I don't do something, another tower will have to be built. There's word that the armies of the elves and the armies of the dwarves will come to clash again.
Oh my.
I hope that your walls are high and sturdy, and that your stock and that your holdings are well stocked.
Oh dear. I was making all manner of wrong assumptions about you, my dear. I am so sorry.
Um,
And just between us, I I think Lady Svenja has some wrong ideas too.
I don't think I made a good impression of her. She thought that Voss is the one who had harmed me, and I fear that she may detain him until I can convince her of the truth. I think she thought I was crazy. Probably many will think I'm crazy. I'd rather than I'll accept that if I can hopefully convince a few. Um, I failed to sing a song as beautifully as I should have, and an elf took my eye. Imagine what an army will do to this land.
You've been through a lot. Why don't you rest?
Uh, is there like a tub or like a place to bathe?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's been days on the road. I could use.
Right.
I could. I could do well to to get clean. So
Sounds
yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I don't know if Bina being so like honest to people is a good idea or not, but she just doesn't really know anything better to do. So she might
Right.
find out this is a terrible idea and that people are gonna gossip. And I mean she does have gossip wise. So maybe she should know better, but I think she's enough in shock about all this that she's not thinking about it. So
Do we want to make so? I'm not sure she believes you. Is there a role you want to make to just convince her that you're right?
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to roll persuasion
I think I want
or
I think I want to roll persuasion.
okay,
It's beginner's luck.
right,
So I'm rolling my will.
right.
I think can you fork into beginner's luck? I don't
No,
remember. You cannot. Okay, because gossip wise and peasant wise,
right. Make a
would
lot of sense.
would make a lot of sense in this case. Um, yep, that's fine. Um, yeah, let's try it. What would be the odd before it was doubled? What would be the base?
4.
Oh Jesus! So it's odd 8. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's with 3 dice. That's not going to happen, but that's okay. So what's the consequence if I fail this?
I think she just doesn't believe you.
Yeah.
I think she thinks that Voss probably did this.
All right. Old Asta does as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So I have a midi wound,
Right.
which I didn't apply on the last one.
Right.
0 successes still is 0 successes, but
Okay.
so I think I think midi wounds are -1 on all rolls. Is that correct? Or all skill and stat checks?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
I think maybe steel and there might be a few exceptions, but like steel and health might be exceptions, but I'm pretty sure that this would be
Actually, MIDI is -2.
yeah, but it's half healed.
Oh, okay, great, cool.
It got half healed
Good.
when Novak was taking care of it.
Awesome.
So all right. So here we go. Making my persuasion test. Modifiers are -1.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted the notes and the names and stuff on Roll20. I apologize. I
Oh
was
yeah.
putting them in chat. I'll start doing both
Oh, okay. Roll20 we'll keep. We'll have it for
forever. Yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Base ob is 8.
Mhm.
All right. I could roll a bunch of 6s. It's possible. It doubled the ob. So I put in 8 and it doubled to 16. But it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
I got no successes. So
Okay. Yeah, she draws you your bath and makes you some tea.
Cool.
And I think you see what's going on, right? Like if you thought someone had been treated rough, like might be what you would do.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you thought somebody was treated rough, you also might think that they would make up some story to cover it up if they were afraid of the person doing it again.
Yes.
So, someone could say all manner of things so as to divert if they're in an abusive relationship. Yeah, totally. I think it really sours Bina when she realizes it, but she's also not going to. I mean, there's nothing to do right now.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think she's gonna try and do what she would normally do around other peasants, which is um, ask what it's like to serve. Ask what it's like to serve Lady Svenja. Have there been many bandits on the road? The gates seem closed. You know, the gates were closed immediately after, and just generally try and get the sort of latest gossip from Asta. And I think she's gonna have to like wait a little bit because obviously if she seems, you know, too traumatized, Asta's gonna just be doting over her. But like once um, she's had the tea and whatnot, she'll try and sort of settle in and find out what's happening at the keep.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a young maid who is kind of assigned to the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elke.
Okay.
Yeah. Elke.
All right.
I'll put it in roll 20. I got it. I got you.
Right. I got Elke's number here. She's a young maid assigned to the room. She doesn't necessarily think I'm horribly traumatized. Or she hasn't gotten that conclusion yet. So I'm like,
yeah, Elke tells you that that there's a wizard visiting the tower, and that they captured a bandit like a week ago, and he's in a dungeon under their guards barracks.
A wizard. Does that happen often?
No, he's from the Tovenar Torin. He doesn't come here often at all.
What's the occasion?
I'm not sure.
I've heard wizards are horrible, grumpy men that are prefer to speak to animals than to people, and who are as gnarled as their old staves.
I don't think you're too far off.
And this bandit, do you normally, when bandits are found, are they normally? I mean, I guess it's like it's does he await a trial? Is he being held ransom?
We think that that Lady Simone will most likely execute him, but they're holding him for some reason, and we're not sure why.
Is Lady Simone? Is she a good lord? Has she been a good, my lord Bodnar? He was a drunkard and a coward, as it turned out. I thought he was brave, but it turned out that he was quaking in his boots. Is Lady Simone a fair?
She is. We're very lucky here, and we know it.
I wish she was the keeper of Karakagi and not Bodnar.
No.
Is there? I'm super prepared to make a gossip-wise roll to see if I can dish whatever secrets are here out of her. But it sounds to me like she's kind of giving them to me, freely. But if
she is, but if you want to dig for deeper shit, you totally can.
I do, because this is kind of my jam. Like, I think this is this is my biggest strength for Bina is like she's going to share her stories about Bodnar and whatnot and expect that another peasant will do the same because it's all fucking business. That's all we got to do.
Yeah.
So I would like to roll gossip wise. I would like to fork in lazy wise because I think Elko would much rather be talking to me than doing her work. I'd like to fork in peasant wise because I have all sorts of other peasant stories.
Cool.
And if Simone is this as nice as she says she is and thinks you're so great here, I want to fork in soothing platitudes and say like, you have such a great place here. This is so beautiful, and like I'm so, you have a wall and all these nice things, and we don't have shit.
Right.
So yeah. This is like the thing. I didn't realize this is the thing Beano was meant for, but half of my skills apply to this role. So
Yeah. So another thing that happens as you go through your pack to get like clean clothes and you're like dishing, you find that your daughter put the burning wheel that you gave her.
Yeah. Well, the
And it
deep fake
has
for her.
and it has the elven runes that were carved in
Yeah.
into it. And somehow she snuck that in.
Yeah. Wow. And it was her favorite toy.
It was.
And she had all these ribbons that I'd given her that she tied to it as well.
Yeah, it had like red and yellow ribbons. Yep.
Yep. And yeah, I think that I shove back into the pack for now.
Okay.
But do tell her, you know, definitely like all the stories of Karakagi, and cool. How, you know, she's like, you call it the hub, and I'm like, it's the shithole, you know.
Right.
it's there's nothing to speak of in it. Awesome. What is the ob to get her to tell me? I don't know. I think what I'm looking for is just something that would make Simone value my word. You know, something that would make me sort of, something that maybe they don't know about the South that I could say that would be useful.
Huh.
See if there's any kind of troubles that they've been having that I, you know, if she complains about dealing with her neighbor, her fellow lords or whatnot. I don't know.
So I think, so the ob is going to be 2.
Okay.
And it's going to go up. So like the higher you get, the better stuff you're going to get.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to exactly, we'll see. We'll see if it can help. And if you can use it, then you get a bonus die on a future roll.
Cool.
And if you fail, you just get crap. Like you're just going to get like, oh, and the blacksmith has eyes for the cooper's wife. Like you're just going to get like total garbage.
Right. All right. Well, I think I actually have a decent dice roll for this.
Awesome.
So let's see if I can. Haha. Well, I succeeded in my first roll. I got the base level success.
Congratulations. Yeah, she starts dishing. How Simone so there are bandits. The reason why everything is so well kept here is because there are bandits that raid in the South, and they catch them and take their shit. So they're not exactly raiding in the South and the West and the East, but they're kind of profiting from it.
Right.
And they have been for years.
It's like search and seizure. It's like not imminent domain, but basically where like like the cops will like take drugs and like property owned by people who committed crimes, and then they sell that property. And
it's exactly like that. And they the wizard Rasmus is having an affair with Lady Simone's younger son, Ferenc. And again, I'll put all this.
Cool. Is Rasmus the wizard who's visiting?
He is, yeah.
And he's having an affair with her younger son.
Yeah, I mean, younger in that he like, you know, Svenja is in her 20s, probably late 20s. You know, she's got 4 life paths. She's a full knight. And Ferenc is probably in his early 20s.
Right. So he's still of age, and
Right,
he's
right. He's of age. Let's not get weird.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and I tell her of Bodnar's hatred for his sister and how he was exiled to, you know, take care of Karakagi and how he hated it, and so I feel like I'm giving her as as good as I'm getting. I'm not
Yeah,
holding out on her. And we each have like fresh gossip the other ones don't know, but
yeah,
the advantage is sort of to her is that I have nobody to share her gossip with. Like everybody that I would meet here already knows it, but she has all this new gossip to like, oh, did
yeah.
you hear in Karakagi? So
Oh yeah, she's totally into Karakage. Like she wants to know more. Like and she like refuses to believe you that it's a shithole, and that
yeah,
like everything in the East is like made of gold, and like the lords are all rich, and you must be playing it down. And surely Bodnar is more handsome than you're saying. It's just that you knew him real well. Like she doesn't
right.
want to believe any of this shit.
It's Ruby hued lenses just
Yes,
viewing it all through.
yes.
Cool.
And like you, she was kind of shocked that the jeweled road didn't have jewels in it anywhere. Like a little disappointed.
Right. Like what the hell?
Who's naming this shit? Um, cool.
Awesome. Do you want to take a quick break and then we can come back
Yes.
with
Yeah, I could totally use some
fun?
water. So yes.
Yeah, me too. All right, folks. If I can get the clock started, there we go. We'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll find out whether or not anyone is going to believe Vina that shit's about to hit the fan. So we'll find out soon.